So we talked about speeches and we talked about vows, and I want to get into like crafting ceremonies because I think that this is so great. There's a huge push. I would say most of the weddings that I plan do have a friend or a family member officiate, which I think is great. I think it's awesome to have that personal touch. Hiring a professional officiant is, of course, awesome too. But if that's something that's important to you, like to have someone that's more personal and knows you, then that's great. But I always tell people, like, there's this long list of bullet points that officiant has to be, right? They have to be a good public speaker. They have to be charismatic. They have to have some humor, but not too funny. Like, they have to take it seriously.
Yeah.
So having a friend officiate, but having them have a professional written ceremony, to me feels like a really good happy medium in there, right? In between hiring a professional, which is going to be remotely generic, or, having them just wing it, which is never a good idea.
Well, the great professionals, there are many here in town, Alan Katz and, Clint Huff, these guys that are really experienced at it, they will help you personalize your ceremony and put a nice spin at it. But I think that I do love when someone that knows them and loves them is up there, because it adds a third dimension of emotion. It adds a third perspective to their relationship. But they're not necessarily, just because they're funny and charismatic.
Yeah. Doesn't mean they know how to write.
It doesn't mean they can write. It doesn't mean they know the elements of a ceremony and in what order they should be and or the laws in some cases. You have to be able to do this the right way. You have to actually say "I do" in most places. But I think even if you can write, it's a burden. It's an 8 to 10 minute narrative that's going to take time to write. You do need to do the interviews. I mean, somebody's got to do it.
You're asking a lot of somebody to be your officiant.
Right, exactly.
It's not just like, you can print the page out and just read the script and call it a day.
So, in our case, we don't just interview the couple individually. We also interview the officiant that knows them. So we'll get their perspective on the couple, what they've seen, what they've heard, how they saw it develop.
Oh, nice.
And then we try and get their perspective. Again, if they're married, we'll get their perspective on marriage and see, if they've got some thoughts about it. That would be good to incorporate. I'm doing one this week or next week? Next week. The couple got their 89-year-old the groom's grandmother to do it.
Oh, sick.
And she's still a English teacher in high school, right?
Oh my God.
Teaching
90 years old.
Yeah, I've never been more nervous to send a script to anybody.
Dude.
Right?
She's gonna rip your ass apart.
I was like checking my grammar,
but I'll read it. Yes.
Do I put two spaces after the period?
How many commas?
Yeah. Oxford comma. Is she an Oxford comma person? I don't know. And so but she is so amazing.
I'm sure.
Right? She's so funny.
I would pick her to be my officiant too.
Right.
She's gonna
go way long. Like I told the planner, like she's gonna riff. She's absolutely good, and you want her to riff because that's the charm of it, right? Mm-hmm. But she's had 2 marriages now, and she's up to like something like 60 years of marriage herself, and so she's got some thoughts, and they were beautiful. They were awesome, and we, they're going to go in the book someday. I told her, but that's where you get the good stuff, and I think so if you can give people help, take the burden off of them for writing it. And if I get to do the ceremony and the vows, then I can carve room in the vows. For the story gets told in the ceremony, and then the vows are more about the personal feelings and the memories.
100%.
Well, and then the whole thing feels cohesive too, right? It's not just like clearly 3 different people wrote this one 20-minute piece.
Well, I was thinking the more that you're doing more work in between more people for like more speeches, I guess, that you're writing, the more you can like flow the story too, because like, okay, well, I know this story, but we're gonna save this for the toast.
Well, and have you ever heard that where there's like 2 people that all like reference the same thing, and then it's kind of weird.
Everybody keeps talking about the same fucking story. You already know it. Now I don't know what to talk about.
Absolutely. And like with the vows, for example, if I know that one of them's going first, and there's going to be a mention, and they're both like hitting the story. Sometimes I'll have like a
you can
funny little
part.
back and forth on it, right? Where, for example, like one of the questions that I ask is, who's the better driver? right? And invariably, like there's a couple that's like, they're both on. They both think they're the best driver.
They've got opinions.
Very different reasons for thinking that, and then we get to play with that in the vows because one will say, "Well, I have to suffer through your driving," and the other one goes,
"I have to suffer through your driving."
You've gotten 16 tickets, right? and stuff like that, right? With the speeches, you can put an order. I know there's a traditional order. Sometimes we completely think that's unnecessary, right? We want this thing to crescendo, right? And we certainly don't want to put your worst speaker after your best speaker. So if I'm doing all 4 speeches, which happens, sometimes the couple will say, "Hey, I'm going to gift." All of this.
I want all my couples.
No, seriously.
I want
literally the whole thing. The
like,
speeches, the vows, the ceremony.
Put this in your little time, your fucking timeline, or what do you call it?
100%.
So good.
But 100%. But the fun part is that you can orchestrate this. You can make sure that they're not covering the same ground the same way, but you can put some order to it and make sure that it flows, crescendos and it flows, and everybody's happy, and you get everybody at 4 minutes. As opposed to one where that's random. You have to look. You have to talk to for the wedding planners that are listening, and for you. You just have to say, is there anybody in your wedding party that's either afraid of public speaking, or or you're afraid of what they're going to say or do? Is somebody going to start drinking? Are they going to wing it? Are you worried that they're going to say something inappropriate? Let's cut that off. There's no reason to be anxious. It's not that expensive. We could do, you
can work this into the wedding budget. Seriously,
speeches are $600. It's not that bad. Right?
I know, and you are very transparent. Like your pricing's on your website, which we talk about a lot. Transparency in the industry is super important. It is not very expensive, especially when we're talking about like all the things. Like your vendors will love you, your venue will love you, your guests will love you. Like
the experience will be better, right? For your audience will be happier, and you will have less anxiety.
Well, like you're gonna have great stories, and you want anyone you're inviting to your wedding, you want them to remember your wedding for nothing but great reasons. So if I knew that $600 meant that everyone would know and remember my wedding ceremony
in a positive way.
Well, the ceremony's more, but
just to be clear, speeches or
just be transparent.
But whatever the investment is, though, in general, if I know that the story that, let's just call it, the day you've been dreaming of your entire life, and whoever is speaking well, is speaking eloquently, is talking all the points. Exactly, like someone has taken charge and it's gonna flow well. Like that would put me at ease, because anyone that gets a microphone on a wedding day,
and I just want to add that
it's a risk.
If you're afraid of public speaking, which many people are, and I'm someone that I don't like to speak extemporaneously. I stutter, I stammer, I played football, I got hit in the head. But I do a lot of the things that you're not supposed to do as public speakers, unless I'm practiced, unless I'm prepared, unless I know where I'm going with it. But I tend to think while I'm talking, and so that can get you in trouble sometimes. But if you're someone that's afraid of public speaking, and you've worked with a professional on the content, and you're happy with it, you like what you're saying, and then you've worked with them on the delivery.
That was what I was going to ask. You actually coach them on the delivery as well.
Included at every package is one delivery session. We're higher budget. We'll add more delivery sessions because
always
more
add
delivery
more.
practice sessions because some people want to just keep working and refine it. That's great, but even with that one, we're having you read it to us. We're giving you feedback on how you can read it better. It's often about dynamics. People have a reading voice. Especially if you've only read it for the first time or second time, you're going to sound like
you're going to forget to smile while you're reading it, too. So you're going to sound all sad and droopy the first time.
A lot of times I'm like, listen, you're talking about a happy story here. Raise your voice, get excited in this.
People are,
and then when you're talking about
worse than death public speaking for some people, literally. So.
But they go in so much differently if they have even a little bit of coaching.
For sure.
They go in differently, and they feel differently about doing it. There are people that think, I could never get in front of an audience and say my own vows. Yes, you can. Okay, you can. It's just you have to have the right content, the content you love, and you have a little bit of coaching, and you're going to get up there, and you might cry. Do we not
want
them to cry?
Want you to cry.
Oh, it makes the video better.
We don't want you to cry
Give
so much.
Give the people what they want.
Yes, yes.
We don't want you to keep crying like to the point where you can't
where the mascara is like falling off and you can't talk.
Like you can't get through it, but if you can, but we want some tears, especially if you're the groom. Right?
Yeah, the groom really.
Just the one little
the single tear.
I'll take that.
Yes, I like that. Content, coaching, crying.
Right.
We want all those things.
Triple
Confidence.
Yep.
Yes.
Love it.
C cubed. So I like that. I mean, I like everything that you're saying, but I do think that, again, we talk about guest experience and we just talk about planning a wedding with intention, right? Yeah. Every part of your wedding should have some intention behind it. Mm-hmm. If you're doing a thing just to do it, fuck it. Don't do that.
Do it.
Yeah.
Don't cut the cake just because someone told you you're supposed to cut a cake. Every piece.
I don't even like cake.
Every vendor that you hire should have some intention behind it. And so it's such a big chunk of the day. And so to not, just have some kind of not have randomness behind it feels really good and feels really important.
They just don't know it's a service yet. I mean, that's on us. We're working on it.
Exactly.
We're and it's on you as the wedding professionals to help deliver that message on behalf of the wedding. Not necessarily. I mean, you're going to get paid either way, but it's going to make your life easier. Yeah. It's going to make your life easier, and so I think for us, it's just getting the word out that this is a service that can help you, and probably prevent your father from talking about how he got kicked in the face with a soccer ball, or your best man talking about how you and him went to Juarez that one time, and and so right, like there's a way to solve these problems, and that perhaps you didn't think about because it's my wedding and I'm getting very excited and everything's idealistic and perfect, right?
I love it.
So
have you had people come to you with like bad fucking ideas?
Yes.
please share. Please share.
You're like have to try to talk them out of it.
Yeah, I mean, usually
let them do their thing a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, usually the bad ideas involve talking about their sex life, or talking about what they think the couple's sex life should be from the point of view of the father.
Oh my gosh.
I've had a couple of those where it's like, like maybe
we're just gonna bypass that.
Maybe we shouldn't do that. We've had a number of instances where someone's the maid of honor or the best man, and they don't really like the spouse. Right? They just don't like.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's
that's
so obvious.
I know.
Right? They don't like the spouse, and they want
You're like, I'm trying to be supportive, but don't make me say something I don't feel.
Right. Right. And those are tricky, but that's when you get back to what is the purpose of you being up there? Right? You're up there not up there for confessional. You're not up there to do a roast. Yep. You're not up there to get even on behalf of your best friend.
Right.
Yeah. You're up there to pay tribute to the wedding that everybody has worked so hard to put together, that you're ultimately a part of. And this is not the moment. The moment here is to make sure that everybody walks away feeling good about your speech. And if your best friend knows you, then they know that you gave that to them. Mm-hmm. They know how you felt already, right? They probably know. So it will make it even more special when you don't get up there and embarrass them.
Right?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. When you don't embarrass them, and even if you do like a great job, like it's probably a great step in the right direction for your friendship with your best friend's spouse. You know what I'm saying? You should probably try to get it together at this point.
Start moving in the right direction.
Yes. You're married. They ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
You should learn how to live
at least for a little while.
Yeah.
At least until the next one. Yeah. Then you can say I told you so.
There you go. Just hold it in.
Yeah. I did have one client who had his sons as his best men, and they really didn't like the new life, right? Yeah. And there were some issues there, and I had to really. I mean, that was the hardest interview I've ever had. It was like, can you
say anything?
One nice,
dig deep.
Come on, what they're good at something, right? They have to be, right? What are they good at? And they're like, they're good at being a problem.
Yeah.
They're good at being a problem.
Come on.
That's what people say about me.
No, they do not. Shut up.
So she's
good at being a pain in my ass. That's what she's good at.
We eventually figured
only
something
the bridesmaids and groomsmen.
Yeah, right. That's who says that.
Yeah.
Then you really are doing the Lord's work if you're stopping people from talking up there to talking shit on the microphone.
No,
so
I've saved a couple weddings, along the way.
No, that's good.
I mean, I think most of our work is to make it better, but we've
definitely saved it.
We've solved a couple of problems.
Get Brian a motherfucking cape over here. Seriously. He's super writer over here.
I would say though, like if you know that your best friend doesn't like the other person, don't force them to go up and make a speech in the first place.
Well, that's true too.
I like, sure, if you have to, then I by all means, I would absolutely encourage hiring someone like Brian. But like, if I knew like my best friend and didn't like my soon-to-be wife, then
or at least have the conversation. Look, you don't have, even if you don't hire us or someone.
Yeah.
At least have the conversation with them that says, if you're going to get up there, please. Two things. Make it short, keep it short. But the other thing is, like, just keep it positive. Just keep it positive. Talk about both of us. Keep it positive. Do it for me.
Yes.
Right? Do it for me. This is the one time I know you. I know how you feel. I don't need to talk about it. I'm getting married to the dude or the woman or whatever. And just like just one. Like and they'll.
It's my day. Come on.
And if they won't do that for you, then you should
probably shouldn't be your best man anyway.
Right.
But I think it also goes back to like the tradition thing, right? It's like, so traditionally, like the bride's dad gives a toast, and traditionally the maid of honor and best man give a toast or whatever. But it doesn't have to be that way. Also, if your best man is irresponsible or also hates public, like, don't force them into something like that's just dumb.
I've been waiting for an uncensored podcast where I can say fuck tradition.
Yeah,
you're right.
Fuck tradition.
We're on the right fucking podcast.
Fuck tradition.
A Coors Light on a Tuesday.
It's your marriage.
You can say it as many as times
It's your marriage, your style. The world's different now. We get to be ourselves. Okay, this is not. I mean, I understand your parental, thing. Obligations and people want to see the thing, but it's your thing, right? And,
exactly.
And ultimately, it should reflect your personality.
Yes,
if your personality means I get my maid of honor is this person, but I'm going to put this person on stage, then that's fine as long as everybody's happy with it.
Seriously,
maid of honor probably gets it.
As long as you're happy with it, and you haven't pissed off the maid of honor too badly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they probably get it though as well. Yes, well, fuck tradition is certainly a big ether or one of our things here for sure.
I would have been okay if I didn't have to give a speech at my friend's wedding. You know what I'm saying? I would have been like, oh, somebody cool. Sounds good. Yeah. Go for it. But he can talk.
Yeah.
But you're the one. But I do think that if you're the one that knows him best, and you're the one that's seen this thing develop, you've got the stories, you've got the stuff there. You just need the help. If you do, a lot of people don't.
Yeah, I love it.
No, I think
such an important vendor category that now I will be pushing on every single one of our clients.
Well, I think the key to for couples is, I think. Well, for you, I'd say is videographers for sure would probably be a great source of like referrals, because I already know, like, I got the rom-coms for like the if he wants to officiate, right, for sure. But Brian, I spent a
lot of time, and
100%.
No offense, we have wedding planners that recommend us every single time, and we're so grateful for their support. Wedding planners turned out to be a little harder to get through to. They're always very enthusiastic as you've been, but then you've got your normal way of doing things, and getting inserted into that process in a way that's meaningful. I mean, you really have to be dedicated to elevating the event. Whereas videographers and venues and venues / caterers have a very
like a
specific
vested interest
in this, and so you're absolutely right. And I think wedding planners do too, but it's just not for the reasons we talked about earlier.
Well, like creatively, like the videographer is staring at this wedding film and hearing all of this footage for hours, however long the edit takes.
Trying to make something out of
nothing. We're trying to make something out of the content. Yeah, exactly. But like I 100%, if I knew that the speeches were so fire, even on the wedding day, I'd be like, I feel so much better going into my edit right now. I would be fired up.
I want to collaborate with the videographers so that they know the speech. Like if there's a speech coming that I know, that is gonna be good,
Yeah.
and you're gonna want to have want to have a reaction shot going or a crowd shot or whatever it is, right?
That'd be sick. That'd be sick.
Yeah,
a way to do this that has DJs too. We can have cues and stuff like that afterwards.
And the good thing is about your service is like it's not just for couples that want like a really cool video and they're saying things all dramatically and it flows perfectly, right? Like this can be for the couple that doesn't even have a video.
Of course not.
This could be for your elopement. You know what I mean? Like you're going out to Hawaii and you want to elope, but you need help and some extra oomph in your vows or whatever it might be. Yeah. It's a great. So whatever.
Just pump it up.
Whatever your wedding type is.
We'll do your proposals, your eulogies, you name it. We'll help you.
We'll help you.
From A to Z over here. VowsandSpeeches.com. Hey.
Seriously.
From proposals to eulogies. Hey.
You want to use cars?
Right? There's a little bit of everything, Mr. Brian. Well, tell our wonderful viewers and listeners where they can find you.
Oh, yeah, you can this camera.
Look at your camera.
I think it's on.
Yeah. Soft focus.
Right.
Vowsandspeeches.com. That's VOWS. AndySpeeches.com. Instagram, same. Vowsandspeeches.com. Facebook.
Love it.
YouTube.
All the things. Clubhouse.
We just started our our own podcast where we talk about we interview every planners and videographers and whatnot about the stories that they've seen.
What's your podcast called?
Story. It's the Vows and Speeches podcast.
The Vows and Speeches podcast. So feel free to listen in on that.
So I'm gonna have to have you guys on ours, and we'll do it.
I got some. I didn't even get into all my horror stories.
Yeah,
we'll save that for your podcast.
Yeah. Save it for the pod.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Thanks for having me.
Say fuck tradition one more time.
Fuck tradition.
Yeah. And we will see you next Tuesday.
Peace.